Delightfully devilish, Seymour.
This time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen.
Seymour! The house is on fire!
No, Mother. It's just the steamed hams. Steamed hams. Steamed hams. Steamed hams. That's what I call hamburgers. Steamed hams. Steamed hams. Steamed hams. Family recipe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Soundtrack on the Cinematic Schematic, powered by thecinematropolis.com. My name is Alexander Bohannon, and I'm your film score geek and guide through this very special episode. But of course, I'm not alone. Sir, introduce yourself.
Mr. Masters. Hey, Mr. Masters. This is Caleb Masters. I don't have beats nearly as cool as Alexandra or Dankmus, but here I am.
Yes.
On this lovely early morning. This is great.
At the top of the show today, we have the YouTube masterpiece, Steamed Hams, leading us in. And today, on a very special episode of Soundtrack, we're interviewing drummer, YouTuber, and premier Simpsons internet composer Wade Nixon, or you might know him as Dankmus. Welcome to Soundtrack, Wade.
How you doing, dudes?
Doing great. How's it going? You definitely sound like you're not from around at least the United States.
Yeah, where are we? We're talking to you on Australia time. So what time is it looking overseas right now?
Oh, it's still early. It's only 11:30 p.m.
Yeah,
it's still going. Yeah, it's Sunday night. It's going to be really hot, guys. By the way, if your Sunday is anything like the one I've had, which I think it is. I'm in the future.
Yeah. Oh,
this
yeah.
is time
Predicting the
talking
future.
to us from the future. Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I'm not going to think about how surreal that is for a second. So we started the show by listening to a portion of Steamed Hams. My dying question, when I stumbled across your YouTube channel, was, did you have anything to do with the internet Steamed Hams YouTube meme phenomenon?
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. I put that video out. I made that on an iPad entirely. So it was GarageBand, iMovie, all just on this iPad.
Wow.
And because it was 2016, well before the meme kind of came out, Bill Oakley's Twitter was pretty normal, nice and simple. I love what it's done for him, though. This new off spin of the food reviews and things, it's all really cool. I sent it to him. And he retweeted it, and that was the first really cool thing that ever happened with this thing that I'm doing, was actually for him to really dig on it. But yeah, I only got traction from my channel after Steamed Hams was a really established meme. I remember when it was taken off, I'd go and look at my video and go, oh, maybe it's washed over. I look and go, oh, no, not at all. Not even a little bit. I know, it was at a point where some Steamed Hams memes were, well over 1 million views on YouTube and such. I think mine had 45,000 or something. It's I was a beneficiary of it. I didn't say that properly, but I benefited from it really. I didn't start nothing. I suckled at it right at the end, and even now it's at 110,000 views, which I'm cool with.
Still good. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I'm chuffed.
So for people like me coming to Dankmus, which is your YouTube channel with not a lot of Simpsons experience, Bill Oakley is the writer of the episode Steamed Hams and obviously a Simpsons writer. I just had to caveat that because for you who's been entrenched in the Simpsons your entire life, I'm just I gotta help my bros that aren't.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that.
Don't live that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, no, because I'm a freak for it. It's just because it was on so much on satellite. I was very lucky to have satellite TV, and it was just on all the time. And Dad would watch it as well, so it wasn't like my parents were discouraging it. It was they jump in and watch and get all in on it. So yeah, I'm just so jaded with it.
So it sounds like you're a fan of The Simpsons. What in particular drew you to The Simpsons? Because it's not just a TV show, it's actually really a medium for creation for your original music. So maybe you could tell me a little bit about why The Simpsons? Why is this the thing you decided to remix and make a huge music career out of?
Well, when I was first making music, I was making it about anything I wanted. So I had a John Tron one. I even had one for Conan O'Brien and Jay Leno's, because I loved his steam cars and all that kind of such. And then I did a few Simpsons ones just from I don't know. I guess it was just the way the show was written, is that it had enough for kids to follow. You know, me being like 8 or 9 years old, you know, that I'd find it funny. But then as I got older and understood more of the words, it got funnier and funnier. Now I can go back and find jokes that completely went over my head, like Sneed's Feed and Seed. Like, do you know that meme at all?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
little bit.
formerly Chucks. Like, I can't say the joke. Chucks sucking. Sneed's Feed and Seed, formerly Chucks. Like, and that's only a joke, you know. I got a few years ago. So, a whole bunch of my music mates are all big fans of Simpsons as well. And so we're often just joking around about what references would work in, you know, a different beat, or maybe like, you know, we'd clap a beat out and then sing a reference over it kind of thing, just because, you know, we're killing time at someone's wedding and, like, you know, the speeches are running long. So we're just, like, you know, dicking around. But yeah, I mean, I guess the Simpsons ones were the ones that did the best. And then Bill Oakley retweeted that one of mine. And that was in a time that I was still kind of making anything. And that's when I was like, oh, wow, cool. Maybe I should just stick with this. And also, I don't know, I guess it's just fun sticking to a single platform. Like, I just do one thing. I just think that's kind of fun. I don't know.
I learned of your music on a different podcast, but you have been making music, as you referenced, you know, just a couple seconds ago. You talk about playing wedding gigs and things like that. So what's your background and personal history with music and composing?
Yeah, right on. I started drums when I was 10. I'm 28 now. And that's all I did. Like, I never touched any melodic instruments. I always liked the idea of writing music, but I never could figure it out. And honestly, I fumbled through it. Yeah, I don't know. I after school, that's all I did was just music all the time. I did enough to pass school, but I'm just always in the music room. And then I did TAFE, which is kind of like an arts college, you know, outside of school kind of thing. And then I went all the way into a jazz degree in the centre of Adelaide, and got up to honours. So fourth year, got a few jazz awards, which was cool. Got to play with some really cool people. And then I started a master's because I wanted the funny looking Harry Potter hat and capes.
Heck yeah.
You know, so like I've got 2 mortarboards, which is always fun to go like, you know, where's your mortarboard? You know, from Superintendent. I don't know. I got to be careful how meta my quoting is, because I could just sound like a freak as I'm pulling like
No, you're fine.
scraped from the bottom of the bat, like, you know, the ones that we're down to because we're so bored of the show. It's like, there's one we haven't said in about 8 minutes. Yeah, like I did the full jazz degree, you know, that whole thing. Got up to a master's, but then I was just kind of sick of studying at that point. It'd been since the age of 5, and I was like, you know, 25 at the time. I was like, I've kind of had enough of this.
And you're probably gigging during that time where you're pursuing graduate study.
Absolutely, yeah. That's where I learned the most, to be honest. Like, you know, and university gave me the facilities to practice to get up to the standard of the gigs that I was getting booked for. So yeah, absolutely, gigging was really important. And I guess what really helped me touch base with so many different musical styles that I'm kind of playing with now, you know, just from all the different weird jobs that I pick up to kind of get by. But I know that Dankmus kind of started really strange because it was like, you know, after a party kind of thing, you know, like almost blackout drunk kind of deal. I woke up to my iPad open with GarageBand on it. And I'd never used GarageBand before, but there was a song written, I don't remember it, and it's still on my SoundCloud. It's called So Dank.
Oh man!
Oh my God.
So that's still on my SoundCloud, and that was uploaded from the iPad. And I woke up and I just chuckled at it, and then I was just kind of had to deconstruct and go, like, all right, how does this actually work? And that's when, like, I don't know, if I'm killing time at teaching, I've got my iPad with me because I use that as a digital book for the students to read off of. It's like, oh, I'll just muck around GarageBand for a quick minute, and that's just kind of how it started.
Well, that's a great origin story.
Yeah, and also, I don't know, it's just because all my stuff's usually quite synthetic and dirty, just because it's a really safe medium to work with. Because if a few of the notes are a little bit wrong, that's just dank and dirty, isn't it? You know, like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, you just gotta pick your genres and, like, you know, give yourself the home field advantage of, like, all right, I'm not very good with music theory. Let's just pick some wacky synth sounds and just do single line square wave stuff, which I love anyway, just because I just find those sounds really hokey and funny.
We'll ask you for your SoundCloud. I want to really hear that. Your So Dank craft. Very much. I think that's
It's the
required.
first song I ever wrote, so be kind. Like, and I don't remember
absolutely.
writing it.
But that's kind of some of the magic. Like,
It's like
you had
Anakin
no
Skywalker. He just appeared. You know?
Yeah. That
Bruce Wayne just woke up as Batman one day. I didn't know how it happened. It just,
yeah. So your process, you started writing this song, and from what we've talked about a little bit on Twitter, you actually transitioned to a now defunct platform of a video to make some of these remixes. So talk a little bit about that time in your life, I guess.
Oh, right on. Well, I guess I got really sold in on the anti-YouTube, rah-rah, like, and then there was like a Reddit post like, here, we're VidMe and we want to work for you guys kind of thing, rah-rah, like, it's like a competitor to YouTube, but it'll be done differently kind of thing. And so I jumped on board with that first. And honestly, I think it really helped because the hardest thing, you put up a channel, you put up your market stall and you're like, I'm ready for business. It's like SpongeBob with the pretty patties. Like, no one knows who you are or what you're doing. You're just sitting there like, I'm open for business. And everyone's like, who are you? So like, hey, no matter how good your content is, no one's looking at it. And so with VidMe, because it was so small and brand new, it was easy to get onto the front page just by merely uploading. You hit the front page. And so anybody's going to see you. I think in the end, like, I had about 150 subs on there, like, and they closed a year ago. Right at the end, I think I had over 1,000 on YouTube or something. But I remember 150 being reasonable for that platform, at one point. I don't know, it just couldn't take down YouTube. It just didn't work. But that's all right because so Steamed Hams is older than it looks on YouTube because it's actually a few months older than that when it was on VidMe first, and then it wasn't really working, so I had to start YouTube, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, and then you pulled some of that, I'm assuming the VidMe fan base over into your YouTube, right?
Yeah, anyone who mentions VidMe, I'm like, you're one of the first ones.
The original.
The original club.
Yeah, a couple of patrons actually did mention, they're like, oh man, I've been following since VidMe. I'm like, VidMe?
That's amazing.
You freak. I did save a screenshot of my VidMe page right before they closed, so that's buried on a hard drive somewhere. So I made sure to quickly snap it. And it's really fun to just see like, my videos with 6 views each up for 2 weeks kind of thing.
It's like man, you're one of those MySpace people from way back in the day before Facebook was a thing. Yeah,
back when all of our friends were Tom.
Yes, we were simpler times with Tom.
Oh man.
So walk me through some of your process whenever you create a new piece of music, because I know that only one of your tracks has any like hardcore sampling, that being Adam West, because I can't remember the rapper's name. Can't remember their
it's original, like Dr. Dre, What's the Difference?
What's the difference?
Because that's my favorite sample of any electronic anything. I love that sample, and I just had Pure West in my head, and I'm like, it just has to be that. It's the only thing that could be done. And so I found a karaoke version of the song and divided up the sections so that I can introduce. So if you listen, because it layers itself up, with each sound coming in before the chorus. And so, I used a karaoke version, was able to like cut everything I needed to get a clean track out of it. So in that case, that one's a bit like the Scorpio one, where like I just have like a fever dream idea and I just have to chase it down, and it just has nothing to do with anything with the episode.
Yeah, I did not know this until last night. I was talking to my boyfriend. He's like, "You realize it's Cowboy Bebop, right?" And I'm like, "Wait, really?"
But it's funny, but I know of Cowboy Bebop, but I haven't really watched it. I'm a big fan of the Japanese big band that plays it, and they're called the Seatbelts, and they're epic. Like their music is crazy good, so tight, like A1 players. And so the very beginning of that song goes, okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam, bam, 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 and then the song starts. And the first thing I could think of was Hank Scorpio going, okay, 3, 2, 1, hold on 1 second. That was it. That was the only thing I wanted to fulfill. And I ended up having to get an Adobe subscription to use After Effects to do all that stuff that I wanted to do. And
Oh,
learn
it looks
After
amazing.
Effects. Oh, it's so cheap the way I did it. I'm not even going to tell you. But it's
looks
so
amazing.
dank. So dank. And to help with the music, like I found like MIDI files to work with, and like to shape and to, it was really hard because it's a big thumping big band chart, and I had to make it electronic. Because I don't want to use synthesized horn sounds because they sound real hokey. Not in a fun way. In like like my first Casio keyboard kind of sound. So I had to find synth sounds that emulated like brass, and brass it's super dank. Like listen to sousaphone bass lines. That's as dank as it gets. Like so cool.
Sousaphone player from back in the day, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's epic. Man, I've only seen a sousaphone once. I was like, and then it was gone.
It was those.
Did you march?
I did marching band in high school with I had 1 year where I actually had a sousaphone because I did those big tubas, you have on the shoulder. Yeah. Those the sound from the sousaphone is dank is a great word to put it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just bap. It's great. Oh, geez, now I'm just thinking about sousaphones. What were we talking about?
Oh, we were talking about your process. So we talked about so Cowboy Bebop, and then of course the Pure West track. But like whenever you're creating like 100% Dankmus, Dankmus.com tier track, like what is your process when you assemble? Just like assembly, and how do you get inspired, and just kind of walk me through that.
You just got to watch the episode first. You just watch it. So you sit down. I tend to skip through it quite a lot, so it doesn't look good on streams, just because I know the episode so well. As soon as I see part of a scene, I already know what the end of the scene is, so I can just kind of like skate through. But really, it's you just watch the whole thing start to finish, and just whatever pops up. Because usually I'm trying to work with a single reference, just because, sometimes people want me to add heaps of other episodes to it. And I've broken my rule of only the same episode, like, for Snrub, just because in my eyes, it just lined up so perfectly. There was just enough alien references and weirdo things that he was doing to put a video together like that. But it's like, it's a precious resource, this stuff. They're not making this stuff anymore. And so, you can't just burn through your material so quickly. And I don't know, by having rules, by just making it, you can only work with this one episode, I think then you got to get really dumb and creative with it, and like have to really, I don't know, go looking through the episode so nothing's kind of wasted. So just trying to catch on to anything that I found funny in it, hopefully involving the reference in question, because having the Twitter poll just makes it heaps more fun, not quite knowing what I'm going to be making, and then just running off going, oh, shit, how do I turn this into a song? Which one was it? I said French fries was a nightmare.
Oh, was it? I do really like that one.
Oh, I'm so glad. God. By the time I'm putting any of these up on the internet and pressing go, I've heard them so many times, I can't stand them anymore.
Really?
Because you just got to run it and run it and run it, and then you need to get away from it because it all just sounds like pudding after a while. It's like you don't know what's loud and quiet anymore because you're just focusing on, and then you're not quite sure what sounds are popping out to people who've never heard it before, and then you've got your own expectations. And then there's also different versions of that song that you originally had and have changed due to different ideas. And so you've got the old version in your head, but you're trying to get in the space of this new version. And, and so, I said French fries. That's it. That's the only line I had to work with. and I'm like, oh, but people want really long videos now. I'm like, oh gosh, there's no video to work with. And then so I'm combing through the episode, and there's Homer on the keyboard. I'm like, oh, good, there's 30 seconds at least. So a lot of the time, like any zoom ins and close ups I'm usually doing, I'm just grabbing for seconds. And so that's why I love having the rule of really trying to keep it to one episode, because then sometimes people come up and say, oh, I love it when you did this and this. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, because that's what I did when I was horribly desperate and no idea what to do. And, reference wise, like, I said French fries. we have French fries. Yeah. No. That's right. You go.
Oh no, I'm just curious. I love that you're talking about how you have rules that you put on yourself to keep it to one episode. Because one thing, a recurring thing that comes up in a lot of our analysis of film scores that we talk about on Soundtrack is, wow, this person only got this crazy weird sound because they had these ridiculous budget constraints or limitations. But at the same time, the movie would just not be the same movie if it didn't have this soundtrack. So I'm just curious. You're talking about what are the benefits, would you say, of putting those limitations on yourself as a musician?
Well, I guess when I was doing the jazz thing, you know, I was going all the way with it. You know, you think like skibbity bap bap ja like really like pretty far out stuff that we're going out and playing. And so like free jazz can be a really toxic word because like, you know, you take a genre that is very, you know, that finds mistakes charming at times, you know, whereas in pop music, you make a mistake, you're ridiculed on Twitter the next day. Whereas in jazz, it's kind of like a human thing. It's like, oh yeah, it's people making this music. And then, you know, having to sit through, you know, some pretty long-winded, you know, just someone on stage with a saxophone going, bop, 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 and then the drum sits down and goes, da 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 da, boom, 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 beep, and he tells it's about grapefruits or something. And it's like, you know, without rules, it's just run amok. Whereas the music, you know, like, and also if you've got rules, then you've got rules to break, and then that's fun in itself, you know. So like, people expecting me to stick to one episode, and all of a sudden in Scrub, I've just, you know, jumped to a different one. But you can't do it very often, otherwise, you know, it's a, you know, I just hope that, yeah, you just want to use the material as efficiently as you can, you know, hopefully doing as much justice to the episode. And then any time that you need to break the rules, it's then at least different and special, you know, because I don't know, I guess watching heaps of like some Simpson wave and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of Simpson memes, the same ones keep coming up all the time. You know, like your five classics, you know, your steamed hams, your monorails, and your dental plans, and you know, your classics.
I love Monorail. That's one of my favorite tracks. Like, it's hard to say because I made a playlist for Caleb, but I'm like, these are, you know, like intro to Dankmus. Here's like some of my favorite ones, and it's like it's pretty long. So it's just like all of my favorites, but Monorail is one of mine.
That's the whole channel, you know. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad because again, Monorail was a nightmare. It's famous for the song, and I can't touch the song. It's like, you know, if the Monorail episode didn't have the song in it, I think it just would have gone down as a really good episode, not that one with that special sparkle that makes you, you know, keep coming back to it. And so it's, again, what do you do? Like, I can't use the song. And then I get comments, people going, you didn't use the song. It's like, what do you want me to do with it?
I mean, I haven't gotten that far in my watch of The Simpsons yet. I'm still in season 3. So
you're doing it proper.
I'm going through the entire, I took cue from Talking Simpsons and some of the Laser Time guys. I'm like, okay, if you're going to watch The Simpsons, you know, this is how you do it right. And this is where you stop. And like that kind of golden era stuff. So so I'm in season 3. I just finished the Flaming Moe's episode. That's a really good one, by the way.
When liquor in a mug warms you like a hug, happiness. It's just a flaming Moe away. And Homer looking through the window, just staring in.
Yep. Yeah,
so
and
sad.
It is. So that's, to me, because I didn't know the episode of Monorail had a song. So I had no context for that. So
that's so cool. So like getting to speak to someone who's a fan of The Simpsons, but is just discovering, because all the people I speak to who are fans from way back, or even, you know, say a couple of years ago, and they've kind of already like, you know, caught up.
Plowed through. Yeah.
Wow, that's really, that's so cool.
I was one of those kids that wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons because of the subversive nature of the children-parent dynamic, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's not how we talk to adults, blah, blah, blah. Were Were you allowed to watch The Simpsons either?
Oh no.
Yeah. There's like a contingent of vaguely
I've
Christian
got students who can't watch it either.
Americans.
Like,
Yeah.
I totally believe you. And I'm like, oh, do what? Like kids ask, what's your YouTube channel? I'm like, oh, it's about The Simpsons. Oh, I can't watch that. I'm like, no, you're not gonna get.
Oh,
It's like, oh, you're not gonna get any of this. And so I show them anyway, and they're like,
that you're a good influence on those kids. Just trust. Show them the Simpsons earlier. It's definitely a different perspective when you're discovering this a little older, because you don't have the nostalgia, but the jokes land a lot differently.
Oh yeah,
I'm jealous. I'm totally jealous because I guess I am lucky that I kind of got to experience it a few times over, but a good show is always a good show. Like you get to be a conscious, functioning adult sitting down at your own will, not because, oh, it's just something that's on, I just watch it when it's on. Like you're going to sit down and enjoy this really cool show. And, I don't know, you just get to experience it for the first time. I can't remember when I first watched particular episodes, it's such a long time ago. So no, I'm totally envious. What a cool journey you got coming up.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it. It's just really interesting to see the kind of thing, that stuff I know I wouldn't have picked up on as a kid, like the idea, which has been said before in lots of like analysis of The Simpsons, but it's taking that classic American family sitcom that was the popular method of conveying television at the time and subverting like all of your expectations on where each plot beat is going to go. And I just think that is so fantastic. Anyway.
I mean, season 3, it's really kicking along. Like it picks up big time in season 2. But season 3 is like the tsunami's just kind of going, because like my favorite seasons are right up, 7 and 8 and such. Like they're still charging so hard. All those seasons are so good. But just the off-putting but kind nature of Homer at sometimes when he's giving Lisa advice, like the time he hit the referee with a whiskey bottle. Do you remember that? Yeah. When Daddy hit the referee? Yeah. And he's consulting her like, yeah. It's so off-putting, but he's just, oh, sweetheart. Like, people aren't gonna, oh no, I can't do the Stampy episode yet. Nope, sorry. I'm gotta stay quiet. Number one, it's just gonna be a very obscure reference, and I don't want to waste it on you.
How long is your process to make a new episode? How long does it actually take and then I would include even like brainstorming and conceptually, like how long does it take to conceive an idea and put the whole episode together and get it on YouTube?
Oh, right. Like complete start to finish. Like I'm just palms in, like face in palms at my iMac, just going, it's weird. It can take start to finish the entire thing, a few hours, and it's just completely done. But nowadays, I found it more important to just leave breathing time, like just to walk away from something, because there's so many tracks. I'm not gonna name any that I listen to now and go, oh, I could have fixed that tiny little thing if I just slept on it. But I was just so keen to put it up, Just maybe I hope it's only things that I'm gonna notice, just because I'm just so in on these tracks, putting together one piece at a time. And so they take longer now than they did, just, quality control jumping in. But something like Mr. Thompson, not Lenny, took me maybe, a few hours. I live streamed that one and it just fell together. Sometimes it just does that. It just, and it's all done. Mr. Thompson was at least a month. That's probably the longest I've ever spent on a track.
That one is amazing, by the way.
I'm so glad you thought so. I was on tour in the middle of nowhere with my MacBook and I had nothing to do. And that's when I was making that one and it finally all started to come together. I think it was when I finally... So there's no snare drum in that track. It is literally Bob's face the entire time. And I actually put a filter on it to add more of a snare drum whoosh to it. So it's just Bob the whole way. But yeah, I got lucky with that one. But that one took about a month, and then Not Lenny took 6 hours. So yeah, it's hard to say. It's really all over the place, but it's taking longer now. Just due to me just trying to slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, because as of recording, the most recent one is the Children Who Are Wrong, which that one has been an earworm for days.
That's so funny.
I can't stop listening to it. Seriously, it's it's like deep in my head. It just like kind of pops up anyway. Just his delivery of that line, and I have to say, okay, another thing. tiny fangirl moment. You actually have really excellent. I think comes from like your musician, the fact that you are a musician, so you have like a keen sense of timing, but you have a really keen sense of comedic timing, because you're like, for a lot of the time you're punching up the joke with the music cue, like the main, like the kind of that pinnacle, like you'll either drop the track or you'll punch it up in some way. And it actually, I mean, like for me watching, having not seen, I honestly don't think I've seen a single episode correlating to any of the tracks.
Oh, really?
I'm not that
wow.
far in yet, because I don't think you've done anything from where I am in season 3. So it's like, because I also jumped right into season 3, because everyone's like, you can come back and watch 1 and 2, but just try it.
Three's pretty important.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I am with that. So I think no context, I can just like, it just punches up, that delivery to the point where sometimes like I'm just like giggling, when I have the chance to actually like watch the corresponding video with the track, I'm not just like listening. Anyway, it just works. I just have to say that. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you think so, because I guess I like things just to be a neat little package, and that's a Simpsons reference for a few that you'll catch up to. But yeah, I don't know. It was kind of like, punchlines aren't funny, deliveries are funny. Like you put anyone's joke into anyone else's face, and like the result will be completely different. Maybe funnier, maybe worse. It does, you don't know. And so, I guess what I enjoy about a lot of the references is the supporting lead up to it, and why the show is just so funny. It's just because every joke is well supported, and at times you don't even know that you're sitting in a support for a joke, and then all of a sudden that punchline goes bop on your nose right when you don't really think it's coming. Like, am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong. It's the children who are wrong. I did have to cram the syllables in a little bit, because I think it's a little bit slower than that. So I actually go in and I cut out each syllable for each. Yeah, well, I mean, that's it. I cut out each syllable and I move them around like Lego blocks to try and get them to drop on the beats that I want.
Yeah.
So that stuff takes a while.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I just think of going back to Mr. Thompson. It's like, hello, Mr. Thompson, and then it does, and I think he's talking to you. Like, that's just like, I mean, again, it's just a transitioning to punching up that with your musical accompaniment. So.
It just had to go there. It just had to. Yeah. Like in my head, there was nowhere else that could have gone. It had to go right there, and it really helped because he's whispering as well. And so then the chorus can come in real hard on top of like whack, because I think he's talking to you.
Yeah. It's so good.
That episode's epic. Like Cape Fear, I think it is. I forget what season that is. Cape Fear.
I think we're all
season 5.
Okay, yeah, we're not too far from that.
Yeah, that's a really morbid one as well. It's like, Bart getting death threats, written in blood and all sorts of things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's heavy. If you understand the concept of Sideshow Bob and like what he's all about, like you could just go and watch that right now. Like there's no real like continuity issues with just like jumping up to there. It's not like all of a sudden they got 16 pets and a parrot in the house and it's like, whoa, what's going on? It's all pretty stable.
Why do you think the music has resonated so much with people, fans of The Simpsons and your other followers?
Yeah, I guess I've been trying to think about it as well, because this has all just started out as just like a little bit of silly fun, and well, it still is. I guess just because the show has been able to get to a particular vintage, there's a higher chance that someone has seen the show a lot, especially the older ones. And so then there are going to be more people whom are kind of like me where, just saying the reference almost isn't enough anymore, just because we're so savvy with it, and just a bunch of jaded Simpsons fans who just want to get really weird with their favorite show. Like, yeah, like Hello, Mr. Thompson is now a song just because.
It like taps into that mix of the nostalgia culture we're living in maybe a little bit, you think?
Oh, totally. I mean, that's why I'm so blown away to speak to you guys who are just like catching on, yet, know all of my tracks. It's like, you guys really are the rank outsiders. I'm sitting there going like, really? That's so cool and interesting. Like, I was hoping that these would sell as songs on their own. I was, like, you come for the memes, but you stay for the music kind of deal.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've actually seen that comment at least once a video is someone's kind of vaguely backhanded compliment surprise. It's like, wow, this is actually good music.
Yeah.
This is
I'm like,
actual good music.
so
It's
thanks,
like,
thanks for that wet handshake. It's like, yeah, oh, that's warm. Like, thanks for that gesture. No, backhand the compliment is still a compliment.
yeah, that's true.
That's true. Now, I'm just curious. When did you realize that this music was actually a YouTube hit? Like, when did you say, "Man, I've really found an audience with this"? Was this like a recent development, or is this something that happened pretty quickly?
Um, oh, over time, I don't know. I guess like it was probably the comment section where like people keep getting dank into everything, and then like and then I'm looking at my, because my channel's still tiny. Like, I know where I reside in the vastness of YouTube and potential audiences. You look at trending, you go, oh wow, like 20 million views overnight, boom, like a career has just been sparked. But like, yeah, even for my tiny videos getting maybe 1,000 views, I was getting about 80 comments, which is a lot. Like, that's a lot of activity on such a smallly viewed kind of video. I was like, oh man, they're actually like people really hovering around this smelly mess I'm making. It's like, okay. And then just seeing Dank just get into everything is my favorite bit. Is you might see that I'm favoriting comments really quick after an upload because I'm hanging around because as straight away, the first comments that come in are usually the best ones. The people right
Yes.
off the hop who are there, boom, to put something in. Oh man, I need to read a couple out. Bear with me. It's because, oh man, oh no, I need Safari. I'm in Chrome. You've corrupted my MacBook.
Google has invaded. the
Oh
MacBook.
no.
The
Yeah,
crazy
well, and that's
times.
one thing as like a person who's a fan of a YouTube channel, which I'm not really someone that has like a lot of YouTube subs that I'm like watch every video like, close to when it drops kind of stuff. There's like maybe 3 or 4 channels. But like one thing that I think is really cool is you're so engaging with your audience, and I think that's kind of why they're kind of feeding back into you, because I did notice, when like scrolling into the comment section, that you do like favorite or at least talk to your fans.
Yeah.
And so I think that actually is really helping draw people in. And of course, you having like your Discord channel where people can also talk to you and, to fellow Simpsons nerds. I think that.
Yeah, I mean, they're just such a valuable commodity. Like, being able to, just to talk to those folks and go like, what do you guys want? So like, for instance, Larry Burns, I made every single poll Larry Burns, and that's actually for my Discord guys because we're always rooting for Larry. Every single time, I was just like, come on, Larry can do it this time, and he'd always come flat last. And so I didn't tell any of them. But then I just went on and made it Larry, 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 Larry. And I just said, it's Larry time. And then everyone just was like, yay, Larry time. So that's for my Discord guys, because I'm keen for Larry, even though I haven't watched the episode in a while, and I'm sure it's going to turn into a nightmare where I go, oh no, there's nothing in here to work with. But I'm sure Larry will be fine. I did promise them 2 videos, so I've just dug my own hole, my own generosity hole. So yeah, I will make 2 for this next one. I want to make a big one and a little one. So.
And I've noticed, speaking of like big tracks and little tracks, some of the tracks for like Snrub and for Dissin' Your Fly Girl, you've taken that initial track and expanded it. Is that just due to response, or because people are like, must have full version? It's like the full version doesn't exist, but all right.
Everyone. I mean, Dissin' Your Fly Girl was just meant to be like a really dumb, quick joke. I think I made that one in an hour and a half. It was just like, this will be funny.
So good.
Dubba, smash it. It was all on the iPad as well, just thumped out and then just put up. And then, like people were just so keen on having it extended. Like, comments for other videos would have, now do this one, now extend this one next. And so, don't deny your market. If they want it, then yeah cool. Absolutely. And I actually lost the Shnrub file for a long time. It's why it took so long to get around to it. And then I was going through all my old hard drives, and there it was, labeled as, I don't know, like a lot of my tracks start off with weird names like This Sounds Okay, just because I started an idea and just save it as This Sounds Okay. And then if I continue the project, I have Snrub, a finished track called This Sounds Okay. so when I go looking for Snrub, I can't find it because when I get started, there's no rules on what it's going to be. Like I've finished tracks before and then started again, and then that track just gets put away for something else. I'm trying to think of Brownie Before Bed. That's a track that I made about a year and a half ago, and I've been looking for something to do with it ever since. And so for me, that is one of the oldest friggin' things I've ever heard. But I know that no one else has heard it before, so I finally got to put it to something.
So which out of all of your tracks is the song you're either the most proud of out of Dankmus, or even a favorite that maybe you're like, oh, this, I have a soft spot for this one, even if it's like, okay, musically or compositionally, for me at least, kind of a thing?
Oh, okay. I've never really thought about them this way.
Which one of your children do you like best?
I hate all of you. Now, I guess I was really happy with Dinner Alone, just because I figured out that bass line, because just a couple of and it just lined up with that pad that I found, and I was like, a friend of mine, Tom Cole, I sung it to him because I was like, oh, I've got the idea. I went, dinner with friends, dinner alone, watching TV alone. All right. And then, so that was so much fun to make because I already knew what I wanted to do. And so all I had to do was just to run in and do it. And it was done so quick. So that one didn't take very long. It just, all just fell together. But it's heaps dumb, but yes, the bum, 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 bum. I was happy because that's a real classic of mine. I always love that one. Just to get Larry Burns, I think it is. Is it Larry? No, it's not Larry. It's
I will definitely not be able to help you on that one, but it's good. I like the song.
Burns' little older brother. Oh god. Oh my god, why can't I remember this name? This is not good. I'm meant to be this. Well, shame has befallen me. Oh well.
Oh, it's all right.
The magic of podcasts.
We'll have your entire channel tweeted.
His name's George Burns. There we go.
George. My little brother George. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that
Mr. Burns' little brother George. Like, he finally got some spotlight.
Yes, nice.
But yeah, it'd probably be those two. And then steamed hams. I think it was the third one I ever made, and it was still on my iPad days. I just got real lucky with that one. I think I just put some settings in the right spot, and I accidentally made something that sounded cromulent. And I was like, okay, good. It got through. It was in my weird days when I was playing around with filters, and I didn't know what I wanted to be doing yet. It was really early.
You mentioned Bill Oakley retweeted some of your work earlier. Have you had any other responses from anyone else who's worked on The Simpsons at all, or had any other notable figures who've heard your music and shared?
Simpsons writers wise, no, and that's cool, because they're all busy dudes, It's just me reaching out to Bill, and I've sent him a few tracks over time as well, and he's he tends to retweet them as well, which is like that's super awesome. Yeah, he's so cool about that stuff. I love that guy. And it's just so crazy because I was picking episodes that I wanted to do, and like 2/3 of them are all his. I'm just a fan of the stuff that he makes.
Right.
Like being shouted out on podcasts, such as yourselves, it's just nuts to be found by people on the other side of the planet with something that I made in my little crap den, here in Adelaide, which is crazy. I was really chuffed to get onto, what was it? Last Podcast on the Left.
I think there is kind of this Venn diagram of, people that are podcasters and probably people that are at least pop culture savvy and Simpsons fans, and then that circle. I mean, well, it's probably more like a circle of both of those things. So most dudes that are doing podcasts are probably Simpsons fans, honestly.
Well, some
yeah.
really crazy people come forward. Not crazy people, but like journalists and like heads of like
Nice.
media and such. Like and I'll reach out and go, "Oh, you're from Empire Magazine." He goes, "Yeah. I've been watching." Oh, that's weird. A SpaceX engineer follows me, so I dropped him a message. I'm like, you work at SpaceX, right? He's like, "Yeah, man, love your stuff." I'm like, fucking weird. so weird. And so I love seeing the crazy broad stroke of different people, who just like meme music.
Yeah.
Well, that's super cool because I think it's twofold, right? Like, it's cool that you realize you share that passion for The Simpsons with all these other people around the world, but also like they are passionate about your music as well from the other side of it. That's got to be really cool, right?
Oh, totally. I mean, just because, I always wanted to be an entertainer. That's it's why I play as a musician. It's what I like to do. So to be able to do something with the degree that I went to university, the degree that I got is just really fulfilling. It's like, like this is what I do. Like, this is what I want to do. So it's just really cool and just really supportive. To get really cool responses from people. Of all these different calibers of people. It's like, oh, cool. Like, nice to know that. Hopefully, I'm on a right track of some sorts. It's very easy just to do circles and. I've been a part of way too many bands that went nowhere just because, we didn't know what we were doing with what we were trying to make. And so, to finally get something that's kind of taken off a little bit, it's just super special, which is why I reach out to people, and like make sure I write to them. And, every patron I get, I make sure I send them a message and, we'll chat a little bit as well, just because it's like, you guys are making a dream come true for me. Like, you guys think I'm doing something nuts for you. I think you guys are doing something nuts for me. Here I am talking on a podcast, like neat.
That's awesome. And we're, of course, delighted that you carved time out of your late Sunday day to come to chat with us. So do you have any current bands or musical groups that you're a part of outside of Dankmus? Because, I mean, you discussed earlier that you're a teacher and teach drums. So what else do you do musically?
I do a lot of corporate stuff, say, book a band in a hotel and play in the corner, play your Wonderwall, play your horses and just, get your $200 and, leg it out the door as quickly as you can kind of deal, to, big entertainment center, convention center things for like, big business, say like, you imagine like Bank of America or something having like, their end of year Christmas party, but they rent out like the massive, function hall, that Taylor Swift might play at kind of thing. So playing those things. I do some stuff with a group called Local Revolution. Unfortunately, there's no recordings of me up there because I only joined not too long ago. So it's all the old drummer stuff. Crazy Greek band called Acoustic Odyssey, which is so much fun because it's all in 7 and it's all, it's just so hard to follow, but that's what I love about it. And just pick up gigs whomever and whenever. So, some jazz group stuff. I've done theater work, so playing in an orchestra pit for like, musicals like 9 to 5 and Evita and such. 9 to 5 being especially fun. I mean, this is all amateur, small town, like very small stuff.
I mean, but it's still cool though. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I take it whenever it's offered, just because it's a lot of fun to sit in an orchestra pit and just play this show, and then Mum gets to come along. Oh, get to see Mum. Oh, lovely. Yeah, and then she goes, I don't like 9 to 5. I'm like, then why are you here?
Aw, get your mom supportive. That's nice.
Yeah, bless it.
Oh, I have such a weird offshoot question, but I've been dying to ask it since you were talking about going to jazz school. Have you ever seen the film Whiplash?
Yeah, and I've actually avoided it. I've actively avoided it. Yeah, it was a very common question when it was like a big hit of a movie. Only because it's almost exactly what I was doing at university, like trying to cut it to make into the big bands, being in the rehearsal rooms until 2 a.m, because you have 24 access, basically sleeping there, waking up, going again, you know, it was just all I did was just practice. And I was rewarded for it, you know, with great accolades, and you know, and I get to play with the lecturers nowadays. You know, I ride Harley Davidsons because the then head of the course got me into them, and we still go riding to this day. Like, just, you know, go ride through the hills or something. So, you know, it's really cool to be like, you know, in with those kind of people. So, you know, watching the scenes where the teacher is slapping the student, you know, going 1, 2, 3, whack, 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 whack. I know for a fact that any teacher that starts laying hands on students like that, I'm pretty sure that student would probably get up and smack him. Because
the Australian version of Whiplash is they go back and they like punch him in the face. That's not annoying.
Well, I mean, you know, like we're all adults as well. It's like don't touch me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like, you can't touch me. You know, like we're not 16 anymore. Like, this is adult school. You know, we're all adults here. You know,
and professionals too.
Yeah, that too. You know, and so that wouldn't be tolerated by any sort of heads of education, and also wouldn't be tolerated by the student bodies, because then everyone would just get up and go, you know, like, what the heck is this? You know, throwing chairs and things. Oh, they'd be gone so quick. You know, I know it's just a movie. It's just a movie, but it was like a really stressful time of my life, and so it's like, I don't need to relive that in. I don't really need to. It's like, I was already there. Like, I don't need the third-hand anxiety from like performing in front of like jazz big bands. I've had it. So maybe at some point I need to check it out. But they did do a lot of classic songs like Caravan. Like that's just a classic that we played to death at uni just because it's a really cool sounding song. So you hear Caravan in the movie, like, oh, of course I do Caravan. It's a popular jazz song.
Well, at least they were kind of low key tapped into the of course amping up the drama for cinema and everything like that. But I was just like dying to ask, if I'm sure that's like a frequent question, you know, because I just don't know of a lot of people that went to jazz drum university. Not
many do.
You know, this leads me to a question I have. You know, like if there are any of our listeners out here who are interested in pursuing a career in music at all, like, do you have any like tips or advice for people who might be interested either in doing a more traditional approach or even doing a YouTube career with music?
Oh, sure. Just make sure it's always fun. You know, like, music's something that we want to do, not because we have to do. And so it's something I keep in mind whenever I teach students, is that, you know, of course I want you to practice all the time, but I can't force you, because if it's not fun, you'll quit. You don't have to play music. You have to do maths and English. You know, you have to go to work. You have to do that. But, you know, you don't have to play music. So making sure, you know, like for a lot of people, playing an instrument can be almost like going to the gym. You know, just getting it in your hands is the hardest bit. And sounding awful for a little while, because it's really rough, because we all listen to music. We know what it's meant to sound like. We know what brilliant music sounds like. And you have to sit there and sound awful for about 3 years before you can actually start sounding a little bit like the music that you listen to, you know, kind of thing. So just keep it fun. I mean, that's what I do with my YouTube channel. It's always just got to be fun and hopefully a bit tongue in cheek and just a bit of a laugh. And it's just as long as you're doing it. Like students of mine who overly worry about doing very specific practice, but then don't do enough of it, versus students who just hop on the drums and just play every day, whatever they want. Those students do better. Just play your instrument, you know, just listen to music, just be around it. You're just going to absorb it over time. And, you know, it's not a race either. I was pretty late getting to uni compared to a lot of the high school people jumping in straight out of high school. I'd already done 3 years at like another pop degree. You know, so I was sort of seen as like, oh, you know, here's this older guy. Ooh, he's 21 and I'm 18. Oh, so old. that whole thing. And,
that's a real stigma,
yeah. And now we're all on the outside, all just happily playing with whomever and whenever, and we just look back and go, God, we're so dumb. You know, like, thinking that, not realizing how long life is, and that, as long as you're doing cool stuff, then, you're doing cool stuff.
And that's actually really good advice. I think even bridging any artistic medium is, as soon as you start putting like that really prescriptive rule on it, that kind of de-incentivizes you from, doing the thing that's actually going to get you better,
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you have any future plans for your role in like composing music? I mean, I know you're doing Dankmus. If you are interested in like doing other venues, or if you rather just keep doing drumming, or what's the goal, the future has for you?
I guess the best thing I could do is just, and something I've always tried to do, is just never let an opportunity go past. You always have time to stop it and then look at it and just kind of flick through it and then hand it off if you don't want to. Someone has contacted me about doing a live show, hopefully in Melbourne, either at the end of this year or start of next year, which is actually why Snrub got extended, because that's hopefully for the live show that I want to put on after I get my data back from Apple, which is stuck in iCloud Drive. More on that later. But so that's come through. This really cool dude reached out to me on Discord. Like he does 3D animating, and he's made this beautiful pilot for a cartoon show that he wants to do, and he wants me to make the music for it. And so that's really special, to hopefully be a part of someone's crazy cool, TV cartoon pitch, to see where it goes. So that's just kind of kicking off. I mean, just for now, it's just like I've got a list of Simpsons references. Like every time you see in the comments, I say, "Oh, I'll add it to the list." I really do have a list of like Simpsons references left to go, and there's so many. There's so many
That's
left.
good.
So many left to go. And there's a few that I want to redo as well. Like there's a few of my really early ones that I think they're only about 40 seconds long, just because it was at a time when I thought making shorter ones was better. And I'd love to go back and just make a whole new track with that quote again, and just do another one. So there's stuff forever. Like I can't believe after like 100 and something videos, there's just, the list is still the same size as they're being ticked off. There's just more coming in all the time, which is another reason why I like flicking through the comments, is that people make good suggestions. They say, you should do this. And it's like, oh, I'll add it to the list. And yeah.
One quick side note. So what's the live show going to do? Are you going to be like kind of like a house band, like an SNL kind of thing, or are you going to be Dankmussing this show, like, or is it like a live YouTube show? Like what's kind of the story there, if it works out for you?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like they pitched it to me, and I was like, okay, and they sold it to me the way they'd like to see it would just be like a DJ set, but with, imagine a 1 hour Dankmus video where like all the tracks just blend into each other. There's no starts or stops. There's the Dankmus flash at the beginning, and then it's an hour long, like putting the best tracks together that blend into each one, and like, mashing and such. I'll probably sneak a couple of new ones in there, and then release them later kind of thing. But, they want to organize like a full light show for it, so maybe think like, not in any sort of grand scale, it's going to be the best that we can get. But like, Dead Mouse, when he does like live shows, like, you got a DJ up on a plinth basically, but it's like, it's a video audio kind of show sort of thing.
That's kind of cool.
That's so
super
freaking
awesome.
cool,
Yeah.
man. I
We're still figuring it out, so I extended a couple of tracks, and I've already started blending a few of the tracks together to just kind of see if it's even going to work. Because honestly, I'm more than happy just doing the YouTube thing. Like that's all I ever set out, is just happily just have an internet only thing. But they're pretty confident because they're fans too. Like they reached out to me and they said, yeah, we'd love to turn this into a thing. It's like, all right, sure, why not?
Yeah. Kind of a really cool challenge to tackle,
Yeah.
What Simpsons characters really resonated the most with you, either growing up or as an adult today?
As a kid, it was all Homer and Bart, because it was like, I don't know, like hyper normalization. Bart's at school, but he's never doing any work. Homer's at work, but he's never doing any work either. Like they're just managing just to get by all the time. And it's just, sometimes really scummy and low, some of the things that Homer does, because he can be pretty brutal and awful. I know, yeah, just like everything's so normal, but then what they're up to is so weird. But probably nowadays, more Lisa, I'd say. Like in the later seasons, the things that she drops in, they're only things I can appreciate now as an adult with her vocabulary. Because it's like, wow, like she uses really big, really intelligent words. And to get them in context now as an adult, it's like, oh wow, like that's actually really clever and insightful, and balances out, Homer's like sometimes rampant ignorance, just running ahead with an idea. Yeah, I'd probably run with Lisa nowadays, easily.
That's such a neat place. You're talking about it's cool that as an adult, I'm only able to approach this as an adult, but seeing how like over time you can identify with different sets of characters based on your life experience. It's pretty interesting.
Well, I guess from just watching it as an adult, as you guys are doing, you're just going to get it sooner. Like you're just going to get straight up to speed with us, because we spent those good 6 or 7 years not understanding half of the jokes. It's even worse as an Australian, because like I didn't realize how many pop culture references are just going straight over my head. Like,
oh yeah,
there's heaps of TV stuff in there, and like I can't reference too much, but that I just didn't get. But then I get it now. So and so, like Doogie Howser playing as so and so. I didn't know who Doogie Howser was when I was growing up, and now I do. And now I'm like, oh man, that would have been so funny, like as an American. So, well, the joys of living in a meme land.
So I think we're about to wrap it up. Do you have anything else, like any additional comments or something you're like, oh man, I didn't get to talk about this, or anything else you wanted to cover before we say adios?
Oh, I don't know. It's just weird talking about myself, I suppose.
No.
Because, as I said, coming from a jazz background where there's like, literally no one there, the amount of like video footage I've got of dead gigs kind of thing. So I guess just, a huge thanks to everyone who, checks out my stuff and digs on it, and comments and the awesome people who, patronize and all that kind of thing. It's like, it's really, really cool. And it's literally a dream come true to be doing this kind of stuff. And I thank you guys so much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been our pleasure.
Our pleasure. Yeah,
I mean, I just love hearing your stories and about your process, and I think it's so cool the stories that bring people to like the creative outlet they have, and then you've gone a step further from just doing a cool thing to making a cool thing that a community is building up around it. So I love hearing those stories, and just really exciting.
Yeah, it's just exciting having a community. I've been on YouTube since 2007. And it's almost been my TV since then. And so, to finally have something that I've been a part of for so long, like I've always been in, groups kind of going like, oh, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Like trying to keep up with the star of the show. And so it's really crazy and bizarre to kind of be on the other side of the fence.
Very cool. So if any of our listeners out there don't follow you but want to check out your work, where are the best places to find you online?
Oh, mate, straight down to YouTube /Dankmus. And then you got my Twitter /Dankmus. And then you got the SoundCloud, which is SoundCloud /Dankmus. And Instagram is a little bit weird because it's _Dankmus_ because someone already took Dankmus the buggers.
No,
monsters.
I know. I nearly had the set. So yeah, but YouTube is my main home ground, I'd say.
Okay, very cool. And you're on Patreon as well?
Oh yeah, Patreon /Dankmus.
Yes,
perfect. Well, that's it for us. And again, thank you so much, Wade, for joining us. And
thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you can follow him on all of those various and sundry social means. You can find me on Twitter at Alex V Brohannon. That's BROHANNON. You can follow the show at the Cinematrop on Twitter.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah,
I got it eventually.
Instagram and Twitter at the Cinematrop.
Yes, thank you. Claps for me.
Or the Cinematropolis.com.
That's what I was trying to do. And what about you, Mr. Caleb? Where can they find you?
Well, you can find me tweeting about all the pop culture and sundries, film, television, video games, all at on Twitter at CMastersTalk. That's letter C Masters Talk. That's probably the best place to find me.
Excellent. Well, we're going to be closing out our show today with a really good track. I think Caleb brought this up to me because he's like, this is my favorite track out of Dankmus so far. And I think it's perfect considering we're a film scores podcast to close our episode out with Dr. Zayas.
Help me, Dr. Zayas.
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas. Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas. Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas. Oh, Dr. Zayas.
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas.
What's wrong with me?
I think you're crazy.
Want a second opinion?
You're all so lazy.
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas. Oh, Dr. Zayas.
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas.
Can I play the piano anymore?
Of course you can.
Well, I couldn't before.
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas. Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas. Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas. Oh, Dr. Zayas.
Help me, Dr. Zayas.
Dr. Zayas, Dr.